Hi everyone, I'm Heidi and today we're going to be talking about the evolution of social classes in America. I'd like to start by saying that the Civil War had a great importance in the development of social classes as we conceive them right now in the US. At this moment, slaves were not the main source of production because with the Industrial Revolution, companies were able to expand and use machines to produce more, and that's when corporations take an important role in the American economy. This exponential growth of businesses created a new social class and rise, the millionaires, whom according to digital history before the Civil War, there were only 400 millionaires in America, and by 1892 there were 4,047. This starts creating a big gap between the poor and the super rich. As we can see in these two images, we can contrast how some people lived in these beautiful mansions on Fifth Avenue in New York, and we can see how people from lower classes lived in inhuman conditions. There's a big economic prosperity in the 20s, but the richer people got, the more money they saved or spent on luxury, but the wages did not rise. The rise of the economy in the 20s did not mean more money for poor people. It meant more money for rich people and more social difference one more time. This brought the country to the Great Depression of 1929, where the economy was in decline, many businesses went bankrupt, many people lost their jobs, and the illusion of well-being created on the 20s disappeared. People were unable to pay off their loans, the money stopped circulating, and the economy simply crashed. We can see how much Americans suffered during this period when listening to Studs Terkel, Great Depression interview, in his first act when he interviews an African American guy who says, "I remember when the times were so hard, the sheriff pawned the radio to my father for $10. This was a white sheriff, a white official that had come to a black man to get $10. In this part of the interview, we don't only see the economic and social crisis that the country was going through, but how racial discrimination against African American was still part of the society. But the crisis was so hard that white people had to forget about racial problems, at least when it was to their convenience. In the decades to follow, the U.S. tried to recover from the Great Depression, and there were many international events that had an impact in the America's economy and society, like World War II. This new world order brought international tension like the Cold War, and also brought big international influence and power to the U.S. The period after World War II, America has a huge economic growth and a really good social stability. This too, social and economic instability come to an end when in 1973 there's an inflation caused by the Vietnam War and also the rise of oil, the oil price in the Middle East. The American economy one more time suffers, having according to digital history an inflation of 5% and an unemployment rate of 6%. During this period, many families were unable to pay for health insurance, and the number of homeless also increased. We can see that women started having more protagonism in the workforce, where families were unable to sustain themselves with 2 salaries. After a decade of problems in the economy and in the society, rises the figure of Reagan. His presidential campaign was based on restoring America's economy and its influence in the world. During his presidential term, taxes were cut to the richer people. He deregulated businesses, which helped to rise new businesses and worked against the inflation, but also this change had the bigger benefit in big companies, while the small ones suffered because of its inability to compete with the prices. In this period, the number of millionaires one more time grows, but the annual income of an average American fell. This social problem also brought a higher percent of crime and violence, putting America as the nation with a higher crime rate in the developed world, accompanied by drug abuse. One more time, America was in the middle of a depression with a huge debt. After going through the evolution of social classes and social problems, one more time we come to the conclusion that it contradicts Lincoln's idea of America. As Eric Lott mentions in his essay class, From Keywords of American Cultural Studies, Abraham Lincoln was only one of the most notable believers in American exceptionalism. The idea that the United States, uniquely among the globe nations, assigned its citizens no fixed class definition and affordable boundless opportunity to those who would work hard and look beyond the next horizon. The reason why I decided to have my presentation going towards this direction was to share my opinion that one way or the other we seem to go back to where we started. We recently, in 2008, had a depression similar to the Great Depression of 1929, and through the decades that we have studied, we have seen how the economy goes up and then it goes down again, leaving the country in a social crisis because of the unfair distribution of wealth towards the richer people. Thank you.